Hi, welcome to Introduction to Honors. I'm Miss Williams. I will be your teacher for this section of this course. I am coming to you from one of my favorite places in the world, which is Garden of the Gods in Colorado. These here are sandstone spire rocks. I am a geologist. I teach geology and environmental science on campus. So maybe you'll take one of those classes with me in the future. But for now, let's get you acquainted with your course, Introduction to Honors. So I try to make things relatively simple for you to follow, but the major portion of this course is designing your research project, okay? So I will share my screen with you, and if it looks like I'm looking up, I am, because I have two monitors, and I can't stare at the little one, and that is where my camera is. So anyway, I will be looking like this for most of this conversation. And I do apologize if that's awkward. Okay. Okay, so here we are on your course site. Go ahead and read through what is available to you here. This is just kind of like a little, introduction. Hello, welcome, read this. And some important things to point out, okay? Your syllabus is here. You can download that and review that. Let's go to course documents. And one of the first things that pops up is your course schedule, okay? So this is a Excel calendar. If you don't have Excel or a compatible program, you can open this in Google Docs and look at it there. And so we are going to take a look here, and week one. Now this is for fall of 2021, okay? But for future semesters, know that your calendar will look very similar. It's just gonna start in a different day, okay? So I'm recording this introduction in fall of 21, but it's applicable to all future semesters. Same rules, same content, same scenario, okay? Until further notice. So checking out the week. All right, fall 2021, we start on August 30th, and that's here. And it says, begin reviewing the material in the week one folder. So you have this entire week to review your material. You don't have anything due until Sunday night by midnight. And your first item that's due is the week one discussion, which honestly is very simple. Over here under coursework, which let me move my little view of myself over. Under coursework, okay, it tells you what you should be doing and what must be done, okay? So read the syllabus and honors capstone research project. Oh, that's misspelled, missed the P, right? Capstone research project. And then review the honors program web link, which we're actually gonna look at together here in just a minute. Then what must be submitted, a gradable item, is complete the week one course structure and content questions discussion board. So that's the one thing that you must do this by the end of this week. That's your gradable item. And if you don't get it in by Sunday at midnight, then it's late and you get docked late points, okay? Now, next week, same stuff, different material, okay? Let's look at week two. Week two, we're gonna review week two folder, and I'll show you that here in a moment. Week two, discussion and reflective writing. So week two, you actually have to write a little, I forget what it is, a little essay on the concepts of being a genius, okay? And your book, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. It's a pretty cool book. So good read. Hopefully you enjoy it. This tells you read chapter 3, pages 1 through 45. And don't worry, it's a small book. So it's not like a huge textbook. All right. So I know 45 pages might sound like a lot, but they're small. There's pictures. You'll be fine. You're honor students. You can read. And then complete the reflective writing and the genius discussion board, which I like this assignment. So that's what you're going to do every week. You're going to read, you're going to write, and you're going to reflect on what do you want to do for your research project? So some of these assignments might seem like, well, what does this even have to do with my research? Well, they're not always going to align perfectly, but the assignments and the activities kind of get you thinking, you know, a little outside the box, which is what you need to do really to do original research. So, you know, sometimes students get ideas when they're going through these exercises, and, you know, just the habit of writing is good. And kind of that reflective writing is good. And it's good to do to be able to do it when you're doing a research project. So let's look at, before we leave the calendar, a couple important things to point out, okay, other than your due dates. Now, I said, if you turn in your work late, you will receive late points. However, I have grace periods. They are quarterly throughout the semester. And what a grace period is the absolute last day that you can turn in a late assignment, and I'll still take it, okay? So you can't just turn your assignments in whenever, you know, wherever, okay? But you can turn them in up into their grace period with a 20-point penalty. So if you miss an assignment, you're not gonna get a 0 on that assignment unless you turn it in after the grace period. And there's like kind of 4 safety nets, which are your grace period. So the first one for this semester ends on 9/26. So that means that for the previous weeks, which are weeks 1 through 4, anything that you missed, that you didn't turn in on time, you don't need to email me. You don't need to ask permission. Okay. Just go do the assignment. It'll be available to you on Blackboard until that grace period closes. Okay. After the grace period ends, it's a 0. You can't turn it in. Okay. It's way too late. We're a quarter of the way through the semester. I don't want to see that work anymore. Like, it's done. 0. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you just forgot, I mean, you have the whole week, so you can work ahead. You can do this whole course the first month of the semester if you want to. It's up to you. Okay, you can work ahead as much as you want. Try your best not to get behind. But if you do, keep an eye on those grace periods, because that's your last option for submission. But if you happen to forget, like, oh shoot, Sunday, or you were going to do your work on Saturday, but then you got called into work and you missed it, yada yada. There's a million excuses and reasons why students don't get work in. If that happens to you, well, you do it Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of the following week, and you turn it in, and you don't get a 0. You get an 80 instead. Okay, hopefully, if you get 100 on the assignment. But then if you just keep forgetting and you don't make that grace period, well, you got to be a little bit more responsible with your time, pay better attention to your due dates. Don't make that mistake again in future grace periods. Okay, so that's what the grace period is. Hope we all understand that. It's a safety net for you to turn in work so you don't get 0s. Okay, so throughout this calendar, I have some important, like highlighted information to draw your eyes, and hopefully you're seeing it, which says meet with your mentor. Okay, guys, I can't stress enough how important it is in this class that you find a mentor ASAP. I'm talking this week or next week. Okay, and meet with them. Okay, it's very, very, very important to meet with them, because they are going to be your guidance throughout the duration of your project. In this class, you're going to go through the steps of brainstorming and designing your research project. Everybody has to do at least one research project in order to get the honors designation at graduation, okay? And your mentor is an integral part of that. You might be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I don't know anybody. This is my first semester. I haven't taken a class. Everything's online. How do I know who I want to be my mentor? Don't freak out, okay? You don't have to get it figured out today, okay? But you have to think about, what do you want to do as your research? What are you interested in? Okay, and part of this class is going to help you kind of get an idea of where your interests lie. You should try to do something that's in line with what you're going to school for, And if you're still figuring that out, or if you're thinking you're going to change majors, you know, if you're kind of in this in between state, you know, just pick something and go with it. I mean, really, you can do more than one. If you don't want to take honor seminar, you can do a second project. But the earlier you get started, the better. And quite honestly, even if your project, if you change your mind later on and you change your major, or your project isn't applicable, you know, to your program down the road, you still went through the process of doing a research project, and it's good to get that experience under your feet. But if you procrastinate on figuring out, you know, the design of your project, how you're going to implement it, where you're going to do your research, how you're going to collect data, and all that stuff that your mentor is supposed to be, you know, kind of helping and steering you with, then you're going to get behind in your project. You might not get them done in time, and you might not graduate with honors. It happens frequently. Okay. So if you really want to get that honors designation, and you know you want to complete this program, which is a rigorous program, then really start trying to figure out who you want your mentor to be. And we are here to help with that. So let's take a look. Okay. Now on this calendar, you notice, yes, I've been saying week 1, week 2, week 3, it's going to go in order with every week of the semester. And then when you go to your Blackboard site, that also is going to line up with every week of the semester. Okay. So we are here in course documents, and you can see that we have these weekly folders. So week 1, you go to week 1, week 2, you go to week 2. It's that easy, and just do what's in the folder. Okay, so let's take a look at week 1, because this is where you are getting oriented with the class and the program. So week 1 tasks summarized right here for you. Okay, read the welcome announcement, read it, watch the video, do the things. Okay. 2, critically read. Now, when we say critically read, we don't mean like, oh, I scan the syllabus. No, read the whole thing. Okay. It's important that you read all of the information that is included in your syllabus. Okay. Review the honors program so that you know what you signed up for and what is required of you to complete this program. And look at the honors capstone research proposal form, because that's going to help you wrap your brain around, okay, how do I need to style my intention with my project? Okay. And then post some questions to the discussion board. And if you don't have any questions, that's fine. Just introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your major? Do you play any sports? What do you like to do for fun? Where do you come from? Anything you want to tell us, but at least your name and your major. Okay. And then the last thing that you're doing this week is you're reading the preface of your book. Okay. So that's the week. All right. And it tells you here, and then everything that you need to complete the tasks that are in, you know, that are listed is going to be right here beneath it. All right. Here's all the stuff you need to complete those tasks. So we're going to look at the program, but first I want to talk about your mentor. Okay. So I kind of want to show you how to search the website. So you can find people. Now, we like you to associate your research project with a course that you have taken or are taking. So you might be a freshman. This might be your first semester, and you'll be thinking, well, I haven't taken anything. That's okay. Not everybody comes to us in their first semester. So if you're here in your first semester, don't worry. You can figure out a course, you know, this semester or next semester, but you don't want to wait beyond your second semester, because then you're going to be hard pressed to finish your research project. So if you're not sure what course you want to associate it with, don't worry, you have time if you are a freshman. Okay. If you are a sophomore and you came to us in your, you know, second or third semester, you need to decide now, this week, what course you want to associate it with. So brainstorm that, think about a course you really enjoyed, and do that. Now, the course that you associate does not have to be your mentor. That does not have to be the same person. Okay, it can, it does not have to. And even if you are freshly here at MDCC and you are a freshman and you haven't taken any courses yet, but you know what you want to do your project on, well, then you can just go find those instructors, reach out to them and say, hey, would you be my mentor? Okay. It's easier to do it after, you know, you've met an instructor and you found someone that you get along with and you enjoyed their class. But, you know, if you really want to hit the ground running, just do some research. This is what you're going to be doing anyway. So let's take a look at how we can find people. So if you go to the MVCC website and you are a current student, so you're going to come over here and click on current students. And then if you go to academics and course search, now I'm going to right click and I'm going to open this up in a separate tab. Okay. And let's say, you know, you're going to school for, maybe you want to do something in the biology field, be it pre-med, be it wildlife biology, be it you want to work on DNA, who knows, whatever it is, bio, okay? Then you go to bio, and it doesn't matter what semester you go in really, but we'll go into fall 2021. And these are your instructors. These are the people that you have to choose from, okay? We have adjunct professors. You can use an adjunct professor. Typically, they are here every semester, but you never know, okay? Because obviously adjuncts are adjuncts, they are not full-time, okay? So they are not off limits, but they're just not as secure, okay? Full-time faculty is better, but doesn't mean you can't do an adjunct. So here you have all these different people, and just scroll down, okay? That's me, I teach environmental science. You know, if you just keep scrolling, you'll see a whole bunch of different professors, okay? And anybody that teaches a class that you know you're gonna have to take in the future, or you wanna take, or anything like that, you just reach out to them. You can send them an email, you can request a meeting, and you know, if you're home and you're online and you want to Zoom, or if you want to come in during their office hours, then you could chat with them, get to know them, decide, you know, do you feel like it would be a good fit for you to have them as your mentor, and they can, you know, kind of talk with you a bit. You can get a feel for a person pretty well in a, you know, quick, you know, 15-20 minute meeting, just so you can kind of get your feelers out there and get to know some faculty members. And I know it might seem intimidating for some people to, you know, oh, I'm just going to randomly email an instructor and say, hey, I'm an honor student, maybe I want to do my project with you. That might feel awkward to you. It's not awkward for us, okay? So don't feel awkward if you feel awkward about that. For us, it's like, oh, hey, honor student, great. What do you want to do? That's exciting. Let me think about your project and decide if I'd want to do it or not, you know? And if you don't know what your project is, but you just want to meet and greet, like that's totally normal for us. And the majority of instructors at MVCC that you meet, you know, they're pretty great people. So don't hesitate to contact an instructor that is in the wheelhouse of the field that you might want to do your project in. We've had projects across the board. We've had music, art, science, cybersecurity, okay, literature, planets. Like we've had projects on, you name it, all over the place. And there's instructors to mentor pretty much any project under the sun. So if you don't know who you want your mentor to be, start poking around the course search and get to know some people. Now, how do you email these people? You know, here they are, they're listed as an instructor, say, you know, for example, Gen Bio. Well, that's Erica Brindisi. How do I find her? Okay, go back to your current students. So we are at current students, and we are going to scroll down to past this, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, faculty staff directory. And then you can search and type in Brindisi, and boom, there she is. You click on her. You can see her email, her office phone, and her office hours. All right. And, you know, where her degree came from, what department she's in, bit of information on the faculty member, okay? And so there's how you contact, give a call, give an email, there you go. Okay, so let's go back to week 1 honors program review. So let's look at this. And you've already done the application or you wouldn't be here. But let's look at the steps, okay? So here you are, this is what you are doing. You are taking Introduction to Honors HP 101. And your next step is to take honors seminar or do a research project. So if you don't like the seminar class in the semester that you're taking it, which for those of you who are here in fall 21, it will be the next semester. Okay, so it's always the next semester after you take your HP 101. And if you don't do it the next semester, you got to do it before you graduate, or you got to do 2 projects. Okay. So step 2, do the seminar or do a project. And then step 3 is just do a project. It's good to get started on your project early. Okay. So next semester is a good time to start. And we try to do projects in 1 semester. Sometimes they take 2. It depends on your workload and things like that. Okay. So Mike Batel is the honors program coordinator. So if you have questions about the program, that's the guy that you contact to ask those questions. And then let's see. So that's the program overview. And then what else are we looking at? Right, we are looking at the proposal form. So, and I'm just doing this so that what happens in this class sometimes is halfway through, we should be halfway through kind of the project design. And halfway through, I still have students who haven't even found a mentor and haven't even thought about a topic that they want to do their project on. Like, don't let that be you, okay? Because 1, it's a huge portion of your grade in this class, okay? And if you don't pass this, you can't move on in the program. You have to pass this class. But also, there's a more to build on. Every step builds on the next. So something as simple as, figuring out a topic and going with it, figuring out a mentor, going with it. Those are the things that kind of knock out in the first 4 or 5 weeks of class. Okay. You can do it. People do it. So let's look at this. Here's your capstone project. Now, we are going to go through every piece of this. Okay. So you fill this out. Your course that it's going to be associated with. Now remember, you can take a little time to decide this if you are a freshman. You have to have your faculty signatures, okay? If you want it on your co-curricular transcript, which we always suggest that you do this so that it shows up when you transfer to another university, and then who your faculty member is. Now, will your project incorporate human subjects? We don't encourage this because it creates kind of like more obstacle than you want to deal with. You can do human subjects, okay, but you have to sign releases. And when it comes to collecting data, you need a significant portion of data if you're going to do any type of reasonable analyses. I've had students in the past who wanted to interview, 5 people, and I'm like, well, that's like 5 data points. It's not significant. You're not going to have any statistical relevance with 5 data points. So that's, it's just not going to work. You need like a couple hundred. Okay. So if you want to do a survey on campus about something and you wanted to stick survey boxes around, you might get a couple hundred responses. You want to make a survey monkey and throw it up on Facebook and get responses that way. There's things that you can do, but you have to have these releases. It has to be a part of using human subjects because they have to know that their responses are being used in a research project. And they have to give, their agreement to that. So if you're using human subjects, just make sure that you talk to your mentor about that in detail so you don't, violate any protocols because, well, realistically, we, the college, you could get in trouble if you don't go about it appropriately. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about using human science. We're not saying don't do it, we're just saying like do it right, okay? So then, here's what you're gonna work throughout this semester. Purpose, background, your learning outcomes, description of the project schedule, and your resources needed. And then evaluation criteria. These are all like in step. Okay, so first you're going to decide, well, you're going to get your topic. And once you get your topic and you kind of get an idea of what am I researching here, you're going to be able to state the goal. What do you want to investigate? What are you hoping to find? Essentially, what's your hypothesis here? Once you complete your research, what do you think your research is going to show? Okay, so understand a hypothesis, a lot of times we call it the educated guess. It's not just an educated guess. It's an interpretation based on background information. Okay, so you learn a bit about your topic and you hypothesize, you proliferate. Okay, other words that mean you think deeply about what you think that data, that research is gonna show. Okay, now that's the beauty of investigative reasoning in the scientific method, which regardless of your project topic you're going to be following, okay, is that you can hypothesize and be wrong, and it's just a natural process of investigation. Because you might investigate and find out, oh, well, the way that I thought it wasn't. And then you just go from there if you're going to do more research and you rethink your hypotheses, okay? Your background, and this is going to be meat of work that you do in here, which is essentially where you're going to gather your background information. You're going to get a bunch of research articles, okay? You're also going to say, why have you chosen this topic? Why are you interested in it? And then what do you bring to the project that will allow you to accomplish it? And what you're bringing with it is going to be a bunch of investigative research. You read books, articles, journals, things like that, that give you some background knowledge on this topic that you're going to investigate. Then your learning outcomes. Okay, this is what you hope to learn. Okay, and a learning outcome is probably an unusual thing. Might feel unusual for you to be writing for yourself, because when you look at a syllabus, and this can give you an idea of what the heck is a learning outcome. Okay, if you look at any syllabus that you have in any class, there are learning outcomes on it. Okay, I'll show you mine from environmental science. Where? Oh, I always keep looking at the little screen and my eyes go, oh, okay. Course objective learning outcomes, okay? For example, students successfully completing the course should have a good understanding of the concept of sound science and how the study of ecology can be utilized as a bridge between science and society. That's a really long one, okay? Students will be able to define ecology. That's pretty simple, okay? Students are going to know the definition of ecology, and they will be able to distinguish among different ecological levels, okay? So species, population, community, ecosystem, biosphere, which is essentially the whole earth, okay? And so if you read through any syllabus that you have whatsoever, it doesn't matter what classes I'm in, history, sociology, whatever, learning outcomes are there. So if you use those as an example to kind of springboard learning outcomes for your project, okay, that is a helpful way to get an idea of how to word a learning outcome, okay? So you have to write them for yourselves. I can't really speculate. I mean, the best example I can give you is what you find in syllabi. I can't really speculate what your learning outcomes are going to be because it's specific to the project that you choose to design. Okay. And then the description of your project. What are you going to do and how? Are you going to do surveys? Are you going to do just research, articles? Are you going to do an actual experiment? Are you going to work in the chemistry lab? Are you going to work in the geology? What are you going to do? And how? Okay. And then your presentation that you have to do at the honor symposium, everybody has to do it. Okay. Are you going to do a poster? Are you going to do a PowerPoint? We recommend everybody does a PowerPoint, but if you don't want to do a PowerPoint, you don't have to, but it is the most general way that people present research is through a PowerPoint. Okay. We've had students do, like skits in addition to a PowerPoint. You're going to write a paper. If you don't want to get up in front of an audience, you're going to write a paper, you still got to present that paper. Presentation of research is a huge part of research. But how are you going to present your findings to the public? Okay. So that's a part of the description of the project, and then a schedule. Now listen, this is one of my pet peeves in this class, is students say, oh, in the beginning of fall 22, I'm going to collect some articles. And then in the middle, I'm going to write my paper. And at the end, I'm going to present. Listen, that is not enough. Okay. When you are writing your schedule, I want you to write it like your schedules that you see in your syllabi. So let's take a look. We'll pull up environmental science because it's right here. Oh, I got two of these open. It's right here. Let's go down. Okay. This is a very long syllabus. There we go. Okay. Week 1. This is what you're going to learn. This is what you're going to read. This is what you're going to do. Boom. Week 2. This is what you're going to learn. This is what you're going to read. This is what you're going to do. Week 3. Okay. Detailed. Listen, it says detailed on your schedule. Detailed. Okay. Don't just willy-nilly, I'm going to do some stuff. No, you need to build yourself a schedule that you and your mentor agree on, that you are going to follow precisely, because otherwise, if you don't, and you're just like, oh, I said I was going to do it in the beginning, and now it's like midterms, and I got to study for midterms, and I didn't look up any articles. You're not, it's not going to get done. You're not going to finish the program. Okay. I'm telling you these things because I want you to finish the program. You're here, you're doing it. I want you to be successful. These are the things that you need to do to be successful. Okay. So when you get to this point, which is kind of later on in the semester, and it's after, you have your topic, you have your project in mind, like it's pretty easy to say, okay, the first 3 weeks, I'm going to research, I'm going to review articles, I'm going to collect background data, and then I'm going to write my introduction. Perfect. And after I write my introduction, then these are the steps I'm going to do. I'm going to collect my surveys, or I'm going to interpret some data, or I'm going to do an experiment on, I don't know, I'm going to collect insects and whatever, I don't know. Okay. It's sky's the limit, guys. I mean, it goes so many different things you can do. We had a student who wrote music. Okay. So she did her research and then she wrote music as like, the investigative part of her project. Okay. I'm going to look at the night sky and find the constellations that I can see, or I'm going to study weather patterns. Yeah, I don't know. It goes on. Okay. I'm going to do that like the next 3 weeks. And then the 3 weeks after that, well, I'm going to interpret those findings. I'm going to see, is there any statistical relevance? Like what did I find? What did I learn? And then I'm going to write my methods portion of my project. And I'm going to, I'm the last 2 weeks, I'm going to write my discussion. And then the last thing is your resources that you need. Sometimes pretty as simple as, oh, I need a laptop in the library. Okay. Other times, you know, if you're going to do, like, we had a student who wanted to do a lemon battery. Okay. Well, he was going to need a whole bunch of chemistry supplies, lab space, and, you know, time to do it outside of when chemistry met. Okay. So you would include, you know, something like that in there. And so then, evaluation criteria. Okay. Now, and this is where you have to discuss with your mentor. Okay. How am I going to be evaluated? Are you going to just, you know, grade my final paper? Are you going to grade my final PowerPoint? Do you want me to submit, you know, like monthly progress reports, and we're going to grade those? You know, how are we going to do this? And then that's what you list here in your evaluation criteria. Now, the mentor is the person who gives you your grade on your project. Most everybody does pretty well. Typically, the only people who don't do well are people who don't do the work and then don't stay in touch with their mentors. I can't tell you how many times as honors program coordinator that we hear, you know, because we check in with the mentors now and again, like, you know, how's it going? How's, you know, so-and-so doing on their project? And they say, well, I haven't heard from them in months. And we're like, so, and there's only so much that your mentor can do. I mean, they can email you and they can call you if they have your phone number. But aside from that, like, there's no way for them to hunt you down. Okay, so it's your responsibility to make sure that you stay in touch with your mentor to make sure that you're meeting those milestones that you've agreed upon. Okay, and that's essentially what you're going to do. And then you got to get all these signatures, and you submit this to. Well, you're going to submit one to me at the end of this class, and then it goes on file for you. And you submit one to, well, you send it to all these people, and one goes to the program coordinator, so they have it on file. Okay, so then, stop share, and then one of the other things that typically happens, and I don't know how it's going to go this year, is that we try to do a weekend, a field trip for the honors cohort, and it's for everybody who's, you know, currently in honors program. So aside from, you know, kind of the design of your project and doing the weekly things and the weekly readings and the written assignments, that is the gist of Introduction to Honors. Hopefully I didn't overwhelm you. I know it's a lot of information, but I pretty much went over everything that you're going to do in this class from start to finish, aside from, like, as far as your project goes, aside from, you know, the reading the Da Vinci book. And the reading the Da Vinci book it's not hard, really. It's unique. And the writing assignments are very reflective. So it's not something that you're going to have to spend a ton of time doing extra research. What you're going to spend time doing, you know, research and getting peer-reviewed articles gathered for is going to be for your project. So that's going to be a portion of this class. But the textbook assignments, those are mostly reflective exercises. So that shouldn't overwhelm you too much. It's just, you know, you just have to do them, exercises and reading and writing. And then the other big chunk of it is getting the design of this project down. And that's, you know, you have 14 weeks to do this class. So, you know, one step at a time. And always, if you have questions, email me. I can usually answer things through email. And if we need to meet for office hours, my office hours are currently scheduled to be online because all my classes are online and we're still in this COVID pandemic. But, you know, for future semesters, always just check my faculty page and you can see where my office hours are, and they're also listed on your syllabus. So I hope you have a great semester and are excited to get started with your independent research. And let me just say this, okay? Yeah, I don't know where any of your heads are at because I don't have you in person as far as your research project. Hopefully you're like, yeah, I'm in the honors program, I'm going to do great. You know, I'm going to do all this stuff. Let me just tell you what independent research does for you. It gets you places in your program, okay? And it doesn't matter what program you're in. And I'm just going to use myself as an example. So I started out at MDCC and I didn't do anything research. I just did my degree. I didn't even know it was an option. I quite honestly, I don't even think we had an honors program when I was in school back in 2000. Okay. But it wasn't something that I knew about if we did have, or I was inclined to do back then. But I kind of wish I had. Fortunately for me, when I moved on to my four-year school, I went to Florida State University and I got a job working in the Antarctic Marine Geology Research Facility. What an oxymoron. One of the hottest universities, like hot, literally heat temperature, okay, in our country, down in Tallahassee, Florida. And they have the largest Antarctic core repository in the world. In the world. All the cores that come from Antarctica, like majority of them, go to the research facility on Florida State campus. I was the most ironic thing. And it was complete happenstance that I wound up there because I wanted to do marine geology when I was in school. That's what I was focused on. And during orientation, which I went to, okay, I was talking with a faculty mentor and they said, well, what are you interested in? And I said, well, I'm interested in marine geology. And I was thinking rocks in the Caribbean, limestone structures, unique mineral deposits in warm water. I was in Florida, for crying out loud. And my faculty mentor says, oh, well, if you're interested in marine geology, we got to take you down to the Antarctic Marine Geology Research Facility. And I thought to myself, Antarctic, like the South Pole? It's cold down there. And so we went down there and I spoke with the curator of the facility and the lab technician, and they offered me a job. And I started out as a junior in my degree, my third year of college, at my first semester at my transfer institution with a job in my field because I said to a mentor, I like marine geology. Boom, opportunity. And because I worked there, that opened up other doors for me. I had a facility curator who was there while one of our curators was out, and he kind of was running the joint while our other curator was gone. He did research in radiolarians, which are microfossils, okay, aquatic microfossils in this case, and they're made out of silica, which is basically quartz. And he said to me, you ever do any undergraduate research? And I was like, no, what's that? Like, I knew I had to do research for my master's. I just didn't think anybody did it until then. And he was like, oh yeah, well, if you want, I have all these extra slides and I've been meaning to do this, I've been meaning to do this project on them and I just, haven't had the time, it could be a research project for you if you wanted to do undergraduate research. And I was like, sure, I guess, why not? Why not do it? Okay, cool. So I did that, designed this little project, what I was going to look for in the microfossils, and then I did it. I had to do it in addition to my work. But then the next year, so my senior year as an undergraduate, right, because I didn't have my bachelor's yet, Shale Drill, the very first ship-based drilling expedition, okay, ship-based drilling along the continental shelf of Antarctica took place. And I was invited to go as an undergrad because I had research experience. And it was like minimal. I mean, literally minimal. It was just this tiny little research project where I looked at some environmental indicators of radiolarians. I mean, I basically just looked at slides of radiolarians and categorized them. It was simple. And because I had that research experience, because I wrote a little teeny paper as an undergraduate student, when the bigwigs from Florida State University, who were kind of principal investigator of this National Science Foundation project were collecting, faculty and students from the school to go to Antarctica and conduct the research, I was one of the few that got to go because I had done a research project. That's it. That's the only thing that separated me from the other students in the geology program and me. I had research experience, 1 semester. Okay, so it opens doors for you. That future faculty look at that and they go, oh, you have research experience. Well, maybe you want to do this. Maybe you want to try that. Maybe you want to go here and go there and try these things. I have a student who did my, well, I did, hopefully I'll do it again in the future. Life in the pandemic has put a hamper on it, but I did take students out west, and we go to places like this, like Garden of the Gods. And we do these kind of like mini research projects. It's a photo journal, but it's a type of research. And I have a student who was offered a job prospecting for a gold company in Alaska because he did that course that had a research component to it. So there's a lot to be said, about doing independent investigative research, regardless of your field. I mean, that's just not the sciences. It goes into all the fields. It sets you apart from your peers who don't have that experience. So I hope you take it on in stride and you work diligently on your project, because it will prove to be of value for you. All right. So welcome to the class. Have a great semester, and I look forward to hearing from you.